Ready?
A few years ago, I made a few hidden gems videos, and I made an argument that the game Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3, which is easily one of the best fighting games on PlayStation 2, was a hidden gem. I was greeted with quite a bit of pushback in the comments because anyone who is a Dragon Ball fan knows that it's easily one of the best games in that franchise. My argument was that you would only play that game if you were a fan of that franchise, so it's easy to overlook. It's the same way that I feel about Naruto games. Every time I look at them, they seem fun, but I'm not really a fan of the franchise. I've just never really gotten into it, so I think it's easy to dismiss because you just don't know the subject area. The game could have cool mechanics, storylines, soundtracks, and so on, but people might just avoid it because they aren't familiar with them. And I think that could easily be the case here for Gundam Battle Assault 2 on the Sony PlayStation. In a later release for the PlayStation 1, Gundam Battle Assault 2 hit North America in 2002, riding high on the series, seeing success thanks to Cartoon Network's Toonami. This gave many North American viewers their first taste of the Gundam series, having runs of the original Mobile Suit Gundam, Gundam Wing, which is my personal favorite, and G Gundam, all of which are represented here in Gundam Battle Assault 2. The game boasts characters from other Gundam series as well, with a total of 34 different characters. And I will say there is a good variety here as well. As often in fighting games, the addition of different characters just ends up being palette swaps of characters with mostly the same moves, but at slightly different stats. But here they all play quite different and feel unique. The gameplay has a few mechanics that makes this game stand out from other 2D fighters. You automatically start the match with 3 super moves that you can use at any time. There's an ammo gauge which will run out during the match, so you have that to manage, especially if you are using someone who doesn't have good melee attacks. There's a boost gauge that allows you to move quickly around the stage. This lets you dash forward, backwards, and upwards, which you can use to dodge attacks or press an opponent. You can also spend the entire boost gauge and it will let you move freely around the stage for a bit, but it does leave you vulnerable to attacks. And then a few characters can use their boost gauge to get a shield. And given that those are the heavier, slower characters, it gives them some balance against the faster ones. Overall, I think the gameplay fits right into that sweet spot of being easy enough to pick up and immediately being able to understand, but has enough depth and complexities to really master, which is exactly where you want to be in a fighting game. The story mode, or arcade mode here, is called Street Mode, for whatever reason, but it's essentially the same thing. This is also where you can start to unlock some characters, which there are plenty of, so that adds a lot of replay value. The story, however, is almost impossible to get anything out of if you haven't seen the anime that fighter is from, as it just follows their story loosely, and I mean very loosely. If you haven't seen their respective series, you will have no idea why the people you are fighting against matter whatsoever. There is also a pretty annoying feature in Street Mode that when you use your super move, the character will use a catchphrase or name of the super move. At the first time you use it, it's pretty cool, but it gets old very fast because it stops the fighting and fills up the entire screen, and so you have to see it over and over and over again, and seeing how you're going to be using the super move at least 3 times in a match, it gets old. But aside from that, the mode is fun.
Slash! Slash! Slash!
There are also 2 time attack modes, a survival mode, and a standard first come, and a second player. The graphics are that of the PS1 polygonal textures, which I actually think still hold up well today. Now, a lot of PS1 games hold up well, but I think this one does. And there's even some cool details here during the fights. Even your mobile suit will get damaged and break apart, letting you see some electricity surging through your suit, which is a nice touch. The backgrounds are pretty generic, but I think they work well for this game. The soundtrack is surprisingly good, and some of the stages have songs that I listen to pretty regularly, but I think it all just fits really well. But as always, let's take a listen.
Fire! 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 Burning! Overheating! Fire! Fire!
So if you want to play this today, you are looking at anywhere from $35 to over $100 for a PlayStation 1 disc, and it's never been ported. So there is also Gundam Battle Assault 1, which is the same style, but there's less characters, and it came before this one. And then there's also Gundam Battle Assault 3, which moves to a 3D fighter. After that, there are a ton of Gundam fighting games, but I think this one has enough going for it that even if you aren't a fan of the series, I think it's still worth checking out if you're a fighting game fan. If you like this episode, be sure to hit that subscribe button or check out our podcast on iTunes or come hang out on Twitch. We'll see you next time, and as always, thanks for watching.